Hi, I'm Sharkey, and I'm here to give you a little bit of a tip on rhythm and time signature. So some of this video may be a little advanced for some folks, it might be really simple for others, but what I wanted to do is make something accessible for all of us that kind of has a little bit of both simplicity and some difficult aspects to it. So we're going to talk about time signature. First of all, a time signature is at the beginning of every piece of music, and it tells us some very important information. Typically, we'll see it in the form of two numbers, one over the other. Sometimes we'll see the letter C, that's called common time, and that's just referring to this time signature, which is the most common. Or we might see something with a C and a line through it, that's called cut time, and that just means half of common time, so that's 2/2. For the most part, you're going to see numbers, and what I wanted to do is just explain what those numbers mean before we go into an exercise that I think is pretty tricky, but once you know a secret code, you'll be able to do it with me. So right now, the top number, not right now, but always, the top number in a time signature stands for how many beats there are per measure. Now, if you're not sure what a measure is, it's basically just how we divide music in a piece of sheet music or in talking about music, but a measure is just a section. So what we're talking about is how many beats are there per section or per measure. It's also called a bar in music. Some musicians will call it a bar. So how many beats per bar, and the time signature will tell us that by what the top number is. So in this time signature, there's 2 beats per measure. There's 3 beats per measure in this time signature, and there's 4 beats per measure in this time signature. The bottom number, we're not going to get into that too much right now, but what that tells us is which type of note equals 1 beat. And that gets into rhythmic notation, and we're not going to worry about that right now necessarily. We're just going to be focused on the number of beats per measure, so the top number in the time signature. So if we have a time signature of 2/2, basically what we're just doing is counting to 2 over and over. We would just go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 over and over, and then the notes would fall within that time signature or that reference. In 3/4 time, or in a time signature with 3, we'd be doing 3 beats per measure. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. More of a waltz feel, definitely a different feel than 1, 2. Over here, we're going to be counting to 4. So in 4/4 time, there's 4 beats per measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they each have a different feel, and there's different reasons why a composer would use a different time signature. But the reason that I'm mentioning this, the 2 beats versus 3 beats versus 4 beats in a time signature, is because there's sometimes when we would do a combination of time signatures, and this sounds a little weird, or we might try to fit 3 beats in the same amount of space that there's 2 beats. Sometimes we would call that well, anyway, let's just keep it simple. We're going to do an exercise that's I'm going to help you understand how easy it is to keep track of 2 beats versus 3 beats at exactly the same time. Let me give you an example of what that looks like here on these congas. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to play 3 beats with my right hand and 2 beats with my left hand, and this is what it would sound like. 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So you can see I'm playing 3 and 2 at the same time within the same measure, within the same section. Kind of tricky to do if I'm counting that. The trick to make this easier is to think of a phrase called nice cup of tea. Might sound a little strange, but it's really helpful. So for our first beat, we're going to do both hands together, and that's nice. And then we're going to alternate hands. Cup of tea. So it's going to go nice cup of tea, nice cup of tea, nice cup of tea. So you can see I'm doing 3 over here and 2 over here. If you notice, cup is in the hand of 3, keeping the 3 beats. So it's nice cup of tea, nice cup of tea. Over here we're just doing of. So it's nice, of, nice, of, nice, of, nice cup of tea, nice cup of tea. So after a while that gets a little bit easier. Here's where you can make it a little bit difficult. Start counting just the numbers for the hands that you're working with. So I'm going to try to go 3 and 2 over while I play. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. That gets a little trickier. If you want to take it to the next level, let's switch hands. I'm going to do 3 versus 2, and then the very next round I'm going to do 3 versus 2. Opposite. So here's how it would go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So see how I was switching back and forth? Same would be happening with the second or the 2 beat. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it can get a little trickier. Start making it faster. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. So playing with that can be a lot of fun. If you want to take it to the sort of the next level, you can add something that sounds a little more different in tone and it stands out a little bit more. So if I do 3 versus 2, it'll be a lot easier to hear because it's such a different sound. So anyway, get your parents' permission if you're going to use the pots and pans. Have fun.